What's going on, guys? Alex here, 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Giant Mouse Ace Corta. So this is a loaner from the Apex passaround group, and it is my third Giant Mouse knife that I've got to check out in my lifetime. So the first two were the Giant Mouse Ace Grand and the Giant Mouse Ace Biblio, which I had on loan from Jake over at Bearded Gear. That was probably a year and a half ago by now. And then recently, if you guys have been watching the channel, you saw that I got a Giant Mouse Ace Grand back in the red canvas micarta and the black M390 blade. Really loving that knife. I'm happy to have it. A full, it's a full review, but I'm gonna do more of a long-term review because I've already done one with Jake's Ace Grand. So I wanted to use mine, and have a little bit different experience with it than I did of a loaner. So that'll be coming within the next, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months, something like that. But this is the Ace Corta. This is one of their newer models. I believe it is, it's within the last four. It's hard to keep track. I know that within the last four, or the last four knives that they've come out with, most recently is the Ace Jutland. Then you have the Nansky, the Nansky, something like that. It has the axis style lock. Then you have the Ace Nibbler, which is like the real small, like 2-inch blade. And then you have this, and I can't remember what order they all came out in, but I know this is one of their more recently come out with knives. And I was happy to jump in on the pass around when I saw it pop up on in the group. And yeah, it's a cool knife. I enjoyed having it in. I'm definitely intrigued by Giant Mouse a little bit more now than I was back then. For some reason they just kind of, I guess the designs are maybe a little bit more alluring to me. How's that for a word? Alluring. But yeah, so like I said, this is on loan from the Apex group, and yeah, I need to get the review done. I've had it for enough time so I can get it sent out and get along to the next person. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into materials. This is rocking natural canvas micarta scales. You have the brass backspacer, which is pretty standard on a lot of Giant Mouse models. Of course, their Ace lineup. You have a loop over style deep carry wire clip that goes practically to the butt end of the knife. It is reversible, so if you are a lefty, you can carry it that way. You have a lanyard hole back here. It is a flipper. Kind of has a pyramid shaped flipper. You have a lot of jimping up top here. Makes for a very nice deployment. The blade steel is M390. I believe it says, yep, right there under the Ace logo. It's a lot, they either do M390 or LMAX a lot of the time in their Ace lineup. It is a inset liner lock. You guys can see right there. It's on bearings. There is no internal milling, and you can kind of feel it is a little hefty. According to the website, it is 3.8 ounces. It is a saber grind, which it's practically a full flat grind except for a swedge built in the top here. Comes down to a pretty thin edge, but it starts out, you kind of have a decently thick stock, and then it thins out as it comes down here towards the tip. You have a very usable tip for any piercing things you need to do. It's a very kind of narrow blade, but it fits the overall design of the knife very well, in my opinion. Anything else that I'm missing on? Of course, the spine here is crowned. You kind of have the jimping out here, or you have the jimping out here kind of halfway, as Giant Mouse likes to do. And one thing that I did not know until I got on the website and looked, these are manufactured by Riot, which I wasn't aware of. I thought Giant Mouse had their own, company and own manufacturing plant. I thought it was in Italy. But I guess some of their knives are made by Riot. I'm actually going to check and see, like, the Jutland that just came out. I need to get my... There we go. My screen went dark. If you guys caught my last video, you would have, heard me say a lot of the times when I review, my phone is right here, and then right behind my phone, like 3 inches behind my phone, I have a TV on my desk. I like to have that on when I'm filming, just so it gives me a little bit more light for you guys to see, you know, the product in my face a little bit better. And not that you'd want to see my face that much, but yeah. So if I ever, like, you know, go out of the way to, like, looks like I'm touching something, it's usually my remote, or it's always my remote. I don't know what else it would be. Yeah, so like the Ace Jutland here, according to the website, it is manufactured to exact quality standards in Maniago, Italy, which I believe is where Giant Mouse's like plant is. So I didn't know that they were starting to use Riot, but that's cool because Riot is a very, you know, very well-known manufacturing company. It's kind of like the top of the line in today's world of the knife, you know, world. But I think like Beztech and Kubi and QSP have all kind of closed the gap a little bit. And it's definitely a closer race than it was, but I still think Riot is still, you know, king right now. So that's also something you have to put into the fact of when you go to buy this knife. So I thought that was a cool tidbit as well. But yeah, so that's all for materials. We are going to jump into action next. So as I said, this has a flipper. It is a flipper only knife. You could put one of the like removable like thumb studs that Brent over at Backpack P likes to do a lot of. But actually, since he started getting into his mod shop, which is Dark Matter, the Dark Matter Instagram page, or Dark Matter Design Shop, or Dark Matter mod shop, I forget how the technical name is, but he basically moved into a new house, and he has more room, so he has a whole like mod shop going on. I actually haven't seen him putting his like removable thumb studs on knives as much. He's doing a lot of like hole mods and stuff like that, so that's cool to see. But that was a way different rabbit hole than what I intended to go on. But of course, it is a flipper only knife. You get really good purchase right here, and it makes for a very snappy and very responsive flip. Fires right out of there. I have a hard time, you know, failing this. The detent is tuned perfectly for the flipper, of course, because that's the only way to deploy this knife. So it's not like you have, you know, a thumb stud or a front flipper or anything else that you're trying to, you know, negate the flipper detent with. But very, very snappy. Probably, honestly, one of the snappier flipper knives that I've handled in a while. I will try to fail it. See, I barely gave it enough pressure, and it's still... See, there, okay. But you really have to... Like, you really have to try to not deploy the knife very hard for it not to lock up successfully. But, I mean, you pull it out of your pocket, flip it, it's going to bang right open. Closing action, it drops to your nail. You have the flipper tab down here, so that, you know, tends to hit my nail a lot. And then you can shake it close like that, or you can drop it to your nail and shake it one kind of hard time, and it'll close. Very, very responsive. Make sure I'm still filming. Yeah, so try lefty. Also very snappy. And I'm not the biggest fan of, excuse me, of flipper only knives. But when they're done well like this, and when they're this snappy, this responsive, this, you know, fun to fidget with, the only thing I could say maybe would be built a little bit better would be it'd be more drop shutty, but it's not drop shutty because you have the detent tuned up for the opening. So I can live with the, you know, shake closeness. It's very smooth. I mean, there is maybe a little percentage of blade play, but for the most part, this thing is locked up tighter than a bank vault. So action, very snappy, shake close, very good. So yes, on to ergos. Ergos are also pretty good on this knife. You do have kind of a little landing choil up here, although it's not like super duper big or super duper comfortable. So you initially, you know, have a natural restriction point right here. Your finger, you know, kind of gets locked into, and then the rest of your hand falls on there. I can get all 4 fingers on the knife with a little bit sticking out. But if I'm being honest, it is, you know, I feel a little bit cramped. Like, it's comfortable, but the more I hold on to it and the more I, you know, like I would use it and, you know, grip down on it, it feels like my hand is kind of, you know, smushed in there. If the handle back here was a little bit longer, I think it would make the knife that much more comfortable, excuse me. And of course, like I said, you do have kind of this choil up here. which you can use, but the tip of the blade is kind of on your finger. So you better be doing some very, very precise cuts or some very, very light cuts, to where you're not going to be like, moving around a lot, potentially cutting yourself on this. But it's comfortable as well. Like, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's not like you have a full-fledged choil here that you can lock into, so you have to take that into effect. But you do have some nice jibbing up here. I love how Giant Mouse puts it like part of the way down the blade, and the spine is crowned as well, so you have a nice landing area up there as well. And so, all in all, the ergos are not bad, but I just feel like the knife is a little bit small for my hands. I wish there was just maybe like 1/4 of an inch added on back here, just to give your fingers a little bit more breathing room. Because I think if you have any size bigger hands than I do, which I don't, I mean, I have large hands, but I don't have like huge hands, you're not going to fit on this knife very well. It's going to be kind of constrictive. But, it's not the best I've handled, but definitely not the worst either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, ergos are kind of mid. But next up is carry. Now, this thing does carry very well. I do wish that there was some internal milling that went on, because there is nothing on either scale. Now, it is micarta, so that helps a little bit in the weight relief fact. But you also have a brass backspacer, which I'm not sure of the exact weight on any of the parts, but I would have to think that would maybe add a little bit of the weight to it. According to the website, it is 3.8 ounces, so it's not, it's not a heavy knife, but for like a 3.1 inch blade with micarta, and titanium, liners and all that, like I feel like it should be a little bit lighter, kind of closer to 3 ounces. So if you do get this knife, you always can take out the backspacer. If it was my knife and my, something that I bought personally, I probably would do that and just see if I liked it. Maybe try to get like a micarta backspacer if you're kind of annoyed with all that open space back there. And I'm not the biggest fan of the brass anyway, so I definitely think it could go from a look standpoint. But it is what it is. But the pot clip itself works very well. It's a wire clip. Wire clips are some of the best pot clips you can get out there. They're just so unobtrusive. They literally just drop down in your pocket. They're always 95% of the time deep carry. So this thing's going to be, deep down in your pocket with no issues at all. Lefty or righty carry. So lefties can rejoice out there if you are wanting to pick up this knife. Drops down in. Now, of course, you do have a flipper tab right here that you can get caught on if you're going to be, gotta go check out my phone real quick. All right, guys, I'm back. I apologize for that. It seems like every time I try to film a video, either, over the course of my YouTube career, my camera either turns off, something with my computer doesn't work. Like in the early days when I was using my computer to like see myself, now I use my watch. My watch sometimes turns off. I get phone calls. I know we're one of the only people that I still think have a house line or a home line, a landline. Man, I just can't talk today, guys. But yeah, so getting back into it, I think I was going over the pot clip. Oh no, I already went over the pot clip. I'm going over the flipper tab. So when you're reaching down in, when it's in your pocket, you do have the flipper tab to worry about. If you're reaching down for chapstick, coins, anything like that might be free floating down at the bottom of your pocket. But the jipping isn't super duper grippy or anything like that. So most of the time you're just going to bounce right off of it. But just be aware that sometimes you might catch your hand on that depending on how often you're diving down in your pocket. I didn't have any issues like that because, of course, as you guys know, I've probably said this in almost every video that has almost every video of a review I do on a knife with a flipper tab. I only carry my phone in my right pocket with my knife. So I just like to point that out because I'm sure a lot of you guys, carry a lot of coins, carry chapstick, carry other smaller EDC items that you might just drop in your pocket. And I always want you to be aware of, the flipper tab and everything like that. So, carry is good. I think overall it's a nice, small, slim package. And again, 3.8 ounces isn't super heavy, but I do feel like there could have been a little bit of milling going on, introduced to this knife. And I feel like the backspacer, adds probably almost an ounce to the knife, because I think this would be, really, really well done right around 3 ounces. But of course, that's just my, opinion. So take it with a grain of salt, as you guys should for all my videos. But yeah, that leads me to my final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. So according to the Giant Mouse website, which I will leave a link down below in the description if you guys are interested in this specific model. And from the website, or from the link to this one, you can find it also comes in green micarta and I believe a blacked out micarta. So the price is $195. I think that's a fair price for it. I mean, you're getting nice micarta, has a very good grip to it. You're getting an M390 blade with a very good grind, nice thin behind the edge, a loop over style deep carry wire paw clip that is very, very usable. You know, feels great in the hand. No hot spots at all with it. You know, bearings. It is a re-op made knife, so you have to take that into effect too. You're not just getting, you know, and I don't want to mean any disrespect by this, but I feel like because this is a re-op made knife, you're getting a upgrade in the build quality as compared to some of the other Giant Mouse knives. You know, and I'm sure that can differ from knife to knife, because the knife I have right now, the Ace Grand, in red micarta and the blacked out M390 blade, it has no issues. I really think it has a good build quality. But I've heard some other people say that, you know, they've had some duds from the Giant Mouse line. So it probably just depends on, you know, if you get unlucky and happen to get a knife with something wrong with it. But re-op is kind of an upgrade in my opinion. So you have to take that into effect to the price. You know, and anything under $190 or anything under $200 that's re-op made, I think is a very good deal. I think you're getting plenty for that price. Good materials, a very snappy action. You know, and for flipper only, it's very, very fidget friendly. You know, if you like a good snappy flipper. So, you know, if you're interested in this knife, if you like the design of it, go for it. I have no qualms at all. It's going to be something that I think I would recommend in the future. You know, if someone ever asked me, you know, should I get the Ace Corta? You know, this is not something that I would probably go out of my way to buy, but I'm definitely glad I got to check it out in the Apex group. Yeah, it's really cool. So hopefully in the near future, maybe I can try to check out the Jutland. That's probably the most intriguing model, you know, left that they have. The Nansky, or might be on here. The Nazca. It intrigues me, but you know, I'm kind of over like the Axis style lock, you know, knives right now. But the Jutland looks cool. It has like a clip point Bowie style blade. So I think maybe in the future I'll try to check out one of those. But yeah, this was my full review on the Giant Mouse Ace Corta. As always, it will be linked down below to the Giant Mouse site if you guys are interested. Definitely a cool knife. I'm happy I got to check it out. And you know, now that I know it's re-op made, that really kind of solidifies the price for me. So leave a comment down below. Do you guys have a Corta in your collection? Are you considering one? Do you have any other Giant Mouses? And if you do, what are your, you know, your experiences with them? Are, you know, have they had good build quality? Have they kind of had some issues? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. But yeah, I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. As always, check out Blue Creek Knives. The link is always down in the description below. Don't forget to use code 814EDC for 10% off of your purchase. Helps me, helps you, helps Brian. It's a win-win-win, as I love to say. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.